Everybody knows about dips and pull-ups for calisthenics, but these three exercises will take you to the next level. The scapular push-up and arch scapular pull-in function as a basic push-pull pattern for straight arm scapular strength, which is often the missing link in beginner calisthenics moves like the handstand and tuck lever. And the pistol squat is a relatively easy leg strength skill to master once you understand how to apply progressive overload, which I'll cover in this video. Straight arm scapular strength, also known as SASS, refers to strength training where the elbows stay straight, so we target the muscles that control and stabilize the scapula. Considering how much shoulder strength is required in calisthenics, this was one of the most misunderstood aspects of upper body strength for me when I began my calisthenics journey in my late 30s. Hey, if you're starting out at calisthenics and you want to get better at calisthenics, then something that can really help you is flexibility. And if you want to get more flexible, check out that 3-part video series there. Just click the link and have a watch. Most people know the basics of bent arm strength training, using exercises like push-ups, ring rows, or more challenging exercises like dips and pull-ups. Bent arm strength is definitely where the majority of your raw strength will come from, as it targets the outer unit muscles, the big prime movers like the lats, pecs, deltoids, biceps and triceps. However, when it comes to SASS training, like most people starting calisthenics, I just didn't understand the importance of it, what the best exercises are for a beginner, or even how to perform them correctly. I wish I knew back then what I'm about to share with you now. I always train push and pull movements in a 1-to-1 ratio to ensure I maintain structural balance, which is critical for performance and avoiding injury. Straight arm scapular strength is no different, which is why I'm sharing the scap push-up and the arch scap pull-in. The scapular push-up targets the serratus anterior and pec minor, both push muscles, and the arch scap pull-in targets the lats, mid and lower traps of the rhomboids, all pull muscles. For the scapular push-up, we want to have the index fingers shoulder width apart, or the acromion process, if you know where that is, the bony part of the end of your shoulders, and we want them facing forward, and then you splay the rest of your fingers out as wide as you can. Then from there, you think of externally rotating the humerus, the upper arm, and what that does is that really helps to lock the elbow nice and straight. We keep the shoulder blades, the scapula, depressed at all times. So that means that you're pulling them down towards your bum, towards your back pockets. And then what we're going to do is we want to think of keeping a straight line down our spine, down to our feet. So we squeeze the legs together, keep the knees straight. You can help with a good posterior pelvic tilt by tensing your butt and drawing your tummy in a bit. And then from here, all of the movement comes from the scapula. So what we do is we fully retract the scapula. So we try to touch the shoulder blades together. And you don't have to pause here, but I like to just pause for a second just to really make sure that I've gone to full retraction, and then you protract as far as you can. So the scapula pushes away from the spine when you protract, and you hold that for 3 seconds. And then you do as many reps as you can with perfect technique. The second you can't do the same technique you were doing on the first couple of reps, that's your last rep, and that's when you stop. And your goal, the rep range that we want to work here, is between 3 and 10 repetitions. And you want to aim for 5 sets as a beginner. When you're starting out, you do 5 sets of between 3 and 10 reps. And every single set should be the same amount of reps. You don't want to do like 6 reps in your first set and then barely do 3 reps in the last set. That's a real indication that you've gone too hard. We only train to about 70 or 80% max effort in our first couple of sets so that we can maintain the standard and the quality throughout the whole workout. So you start at that 3 rep range, and when you can do all 5 sets of 3 reps, you go to 4 reps and so on. And once you get up to being able to do 5 sets of 10 reps, that's when you can move on to the next progression. For the arch scapular pull-in, we just want to hang from a pull-up bar, grip as hard as you can, and think of that externally rotating the humerus cue again. So the upper arm, you're externally rotating to really lock those elbows to be completely straight. For this one, we're going to initiate the movement by depressing the scapula, so pulling the shoulder blades down, and then we pull the shoulders into a little bit of extension, which means that you're trying to pull the elbows down towards the hips. And then you finish the movement by pulling as hard as you can into retraction, and then holding for 3 seconds, and then slowly lowering yourself back down to start the next movement. It's very important to understand here that you are not trying to do a front lever. You're not trying to get your hips up and get your legs going forward. So if you look at me from this angle, you can see that all of the movement is coming in my shoulders, and I'm allowing my shoulders to go back, but I'm trying to keep my legs and my hips moving just vertically up and down. I don't want those hips coming forward of their start position, because that really adds to the challenge, and that's what the purpose of exercises like tuck levers and front levers are, and we're not doing that here. We're trying to work on just developing a strong depression in the scapula with a little bit of shoulder extension, and then a very strong retraction. And what you're really looking for here is to be able to retract all the way so your shoulder blades are touching without bending your elbows at all. So the goal is not to get as far back as you can here. And the way we want to do this exercise is we want to hold for 3 seconds on each rep. You want to aim for 5 reps to start with. If you can't do 5, at least 3. You want to be able to do 3. Otherwise, you need to do it with feet assistance, with your feet on the ground. And what you do is you work up to 8 reps. And when you can get to 8 reps with a 3-second hold for all 5 sets, then you drop back to 5 reps again, but you go to a 4-second hold. And then you work your way back up to 8 reps with a 4-second hold. Then you drop back to 5 reps again, and you work your way up with a 5-second hold up to 8 reps. And when you can do that, you repeat the whole process again, but you increase your range of motion. Pistol squat is a go-to beginner lower body strength movement, but I know what you're thinking, beginner, really? Because they seem almost impossible when you try them, right? Well, there's some really clever ways that we can use progressive overload to turn this from the impossible to the absolute possible. And the first thing that we do, remember with intensity, you can manipulate intensity not just by how heavy the amount of weight you're lifting or how hard the exercise is, but the range of motion. So first we reduce the intensity by reducing the range. So I'm using a high box here. And what we want to do is a 3-second eccentric, 1-second pause with your bum just touching the box, not sitting on it, just touching it, and then 1 second back up. 3 seconds down, 1 second pause, 1 second up. And when you can do 5 sets of 8 to 10 reps of that, then you lower the height of the box. So now I go down to a lower box, and then I do the exact same thing again. And minimum of 3 reps, as long as you can do 3 reps, it's a viable movement. And then you work your way up to being able to do 5 sets of 10 reps. And you can make these increments of how low the box is multiple times. You don't have to just use 2 heights like what I'm doing in this video. And then eventually you'll remove the box to do full reps, but it's still too hard, right? I know the feeling. And so this is where we use eccentric reps. So now what we're going to do is we're going to lower down for 3 seconds all the way down, and then we put the other foot on the ground, and then we stand back up. And when you're doing eccentric reps, you only do between 3 to 5 reps. Once you can do 5 reps, what you start doing is increasing the amount of eccentric contraction time that you do. So you go from a 3-second eccentric to a 5-second, and to a 6 or 7 second. And once you get up to an 8 to 10 second eccentric for 5 reps, that's when you start doing the full reps. And if it's still too hard for you, for either the eccentrics or the full reps, you can put something under your heels to give you a little bit of a heel elevation. That'll make it much easier. Eventually, you'll become strong enough that these exercises become your supplementary lifts. And when that happens, you're definitely going to want to progress. And if you click or tap the screen there, you can check out some great examples of some more challenging exercises. I'll see you in that next video.